misandrist, sexism and discriminatory and complacent treatment from Nicola Roxon. Nicola Roxon was the Minister for Health and Ageing in the Australian federal government. She was, yes, this is in 2011, a man whose son, his infant son, was circumcised by his wife. The man didn't know about it. His wife, while this man was away, this man's wife had his son circumcised, and this man complained to Julia Gillard about it. But months later he got a reply, and it wasn't from Julia Gillard. Oh, shut up, cockatoos. It wasn't from Julia Gillard the reply, it was from her Minister for Health and Ageing, Nicola Roxon. Now, this is all very interesting because Nicola Roxon is acting as a mouthpiece for Julia Gillard's health policy, and health policy includes circumcision, doesn't it? It does. Nicola Roxon was acting on behalf of Julia Gillard, and she was the Minister for Health and Ageing, and I say that MGM, male genital mutilation, is not healthy. And Roxon here seemed misandrist, sexist and discriminatory and complacent, just like Julia Gillard. And she doesn't seem to understand that male circumcision is a violent and barbaric sexual assault. She replies to this man anyway. And what's amazing but not untypical is that Roxon argues, like many who are against female genital mutilation, FGM, she argues a strong case for MGM, and she's doing that as the health minister. Legal and medical considerations about circumcision are complex. Yes, now, does that mean the legal and medical considerations about female genital mutilation are complex? Probably not. Within Australia, infant male circumcision may be carried out for a range of reasons, including religious and cultural. Now, what did Gillard tweet? She said, there is no place in any religion or culture for female genital mutilation. So you've got the female health minister here suggesting that male circumcision may be carried out for a range of reasons, including religious and cultural. That's interesting. That's a double standard, isn't it? We don't do it, according to Gillard, for religious and cultural reasons if one is a female. We don't carry out FGM, but it sounds like it's all right to do it for religious and cultural reasons for men, apparently, for males. Within Australia, infant male circumcision may be carried out for a range of reasons, including religious and cultural reasons or for medical purposes. Male circumcision can be medically required to treat a range of conditions. This whole first paragraph is Roxon arguing the case for male circumcision on health grounds, on health and hygiene grounds, mainly. Male circumcision can be medically required to treat a range of conditions, such as phimosis. Does she mention female phimosis? She does not. She won't recognise that female phimosis is a condition that can occur in females, and that if every female had their clitoral hood removed, they wouldn't get female phimosis. She doesn't acknowledge that. She only talks about male health and male circumcision as being beneficial. Male circumcision can be medically required to treat a range of conditions such as phimosis, a painful narrowing and constriction of the foreskin that can cause chronic infection if left untreated. Other conditions treated by circumcision include balanoposthitis, balanitis xerotica obliterans, congenital penile abnormalities, and some penile cancers. Circumcision to treat a medical condition can be carried out under anaesthesia in a public hospital. As these conditions can occur at any age, there are several Medicare benefits schedule items in place to support this procedure in infants, boys under 10 years, and all males over 10 years. So there's her big introductory paragraph, all about male genital health and the benefits, basically. And yes, there's even a mention of religious and cultural. And remember, Gillard said there is no place in any religion or culture for female genital mutilation. They're using medical arguments to defend MGM here, and but seem to think FGM is wrong. In comparison to male circumcision, this is a bit where they always mention the worst case scenario, the worst form of female circumcision, and they compare that with male circumcision. In comparison to male circumcision, there's no comparison apparently. There's no comparison according to Gillard and Roxon. In comparison to male circumcision, female circumcision is not indicated as a medical treatment for any condition. What did I just say about female phimosis being a medical condition that can be prevented by cutting out, circumcising the clitoris and taking off the clitoral hood? Circumcision of females results in, this is the worst form of circumcision. She's not talking about degrees of female circumcision here. She's only talking about the worst form of female circumcision. Circumcision of females results in dramatically increased lifelong reproductive and urinary problems, high rates of death immediately following the procedure, and on entering puberty due to chronic infection, and high mortality rates in both circumcised mothers and their babies. So she's mentioned the worst case scenario there. She didn't mention female phimosis as something that can be cut out, nipped in the bud by female circumcision, and not the worst sort of female circumcision. Removing the clitoral hood, circumcising the clitoris, taking away the clitoral hood isn't the worst sort of female genital mutilation. It's funny, isn't it, how it's female genital mutilation when it applies to women, and it's circumcision when it applies to boys. That's sexist, it's misandrist, it's discriminatory, and it's complacent, of course. She didn't mention the benefits of female circumcision as in hygiene or odor. One of the biggest arguments for boys is always hygiene. It's supposed to be cleaner, better, hygienic, healthier, etc., etc. That's what the doctors will tell you. But there's no mention here of female odor being reduced by female circumcision, cutting out some of that smegma-producing tissue. And yes, I mean, well, I've done other videos about the apparent need for feminine hygiene products, rinses, powders, deodorants. Yes, the worst case for males was castration. In ancient Egypt, when boys were castrated, most of them died. Very few survived the operation to become eunuchs. So their reproductive health was ruined too. And up until the beginning of the last century, castrati were allowed, weren't they? The Vatican allowed castrati. Males can have worst case genital mutilation too. They can. The majority of state and territory public hospitals do not support elective male circumcision. There is a range of social, psychological and personal preference issues associated with circumcision. Does that include female circumcision? When we talk about male circumcision, we can talk about it as being elective, we can talk about social, psychological and personal preference issues. This is another thing. She goes on to say now, elective male circumcision for religious and cultural reasons is a decision that should be made by fully informed families and communities after detailed consultation with their medical practitioner regarding potential risks. Of course, the potential risks of male circumcision do include death, and boys do die, even in modern times, from that. But let's look at that sentence again, that paragraph again, in light of Gillard's tweet, Gillard's tweet said there was no room in any religion or culture for FGM. There was no space in any religion or culture for FGM. But here, according to Roxon, elective male circumcision for religious and cultural reasons is a decision that should be made by fully informed families and communities after detailed consultation with their medical practitioner regarding potential risks. So it's okay for informed families and everything to do male genital mutilation. Informed families and communities can do it for religious and cultural reasons, apparently. She's acknowledging that male genital mutilation can be done for religious and cultural reasons, when Gillard said of female genital mutilation, it has no place in any religion or culture. That's sexism. That is sexism. It's misandrist. Misandry is a form of sexism. It's discriminating on grounds of gender. All very complacent, aren't they, these women? They will argue the case for protecting girls, but then at the same time they will argue a case for mutilating little boys. Oh, shut up. She goes on to say possible laws on male circumcision, like criminal law offences such as assault, would be matters for consideration by individual state and territory governments. The Australian government has no oversight in these matters. So she's completely washing her hands there of any human rights obligations like the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights or the International Covenant on the Rights of the Child. She's saying it's got nothing to do with the Commonwealth. It's all a state matter. In other words, she, as the Minister for Health and Ageing, and she and Julia Gillard have no responsibility to protect boys' genital integrity. It's all a state matter. It's not a human rights violation, and yet there is federal legislation to protect the genital integrity of girls. How can that be? There's no federal legislation to protect the genital integrity of boys. This is all just very sexist and sickening. Feminists are quite happy to argue the medical case for MGM, I notice. I've noticed that. Funny that, isn't it? It's disgusting. This is the reply that that man whose wife circumcised his boy in his absence. Yes, this is the reply he got when he complained to Julia Gillard. It's all a defence of male circumcision, basically, on medical grounds. And they compare the worst case of female genital mutilation to male genital mutilation, thus trying to trivialise male genital mutilation. It's all pathetic, really, and it is sexist, it's misandrist. Our Prime Minister is sexist and misandrist and discriminatory if she doesn't protect boys, and so was Nicola Roxon back in 2011. I'll leave the link to this man who put up this letter online to say how he was treated by the Prime Minister when his son's human rights were violated on grounds of gender. Bye.